There's power by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we
You
sell.
wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. GM. GM. Today is Thursday. And it is the 18th of July. Daily levels. Let's go. So, how's it looking here? A 3-day chart. Zoom into the daily chart. We had a red day yesterday, pull back, slight reversal candle, probably leads to some consolidation. Next, I would say, consolidation more likely than any immediate breakdown. And ETH starting to build a bit of a consolidation of its own in this area here. Solana, same thing, consolidations. So I don't suspect that we see any big moves to the downside in the short term. As you can see, the price is sort of just chopping around near the highs, and that's something that I'll update from yesterday, because if you remember yesterday I was talking about the prospect of shorts being on the table and some good shorting opportunities, or a good shorting opportunity for BTC. However, I don't see that now as being valid, because I think that the market is a lot stronger. At least BTC currently is holding up pretty well based on the moves overnight. And the reason for that is, although this is not exactly a strong sign of real strength for an upside move, it does seem like it's resistant to downside. So the original value area, all the way over here, the one that I was looking to short into, is still providing that main resistance. However, BTC continues to remain, what would I say? Strong's the wrong word. I want to be quite clear about how I say it. I wouldn't say that this is strong, but what it's definitely showing is an unwillingness to go down at this time. So an unwillingness to go down yet. And how I think that manifests is probably that this resistance holds. Probably we move back down towards here. But I don't know if we go all the way down to there, or if BTC holds, because when you look at the 4-hour bands, it's got that 4-hour band support below, and it seems like it might go for those highs again first before any subsequent down move, and it might just be building up towards that. Trying to lose the 1-hour bands has led to it coming back up above them and holding. And so the way I would see it is very simple in terms of consolidation. I think that if BTC is able to lose this area, if we draw another value area from the breakdown here, so from this candle which broke down to where we are now, you can draw and find another distribution, volume distribution, on the 15-minute. And I would say that as long as Bitcoin is holding above this point of control and this point of control, which held the bottom of the market over there, and this one over here, I'd imagine that it's probably going to just chop around and then eventually push towards those highs again. Now at that point, I still expect a sell-off as being quite likely, but we'll see. So you can see here how it keeps bouncing and squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and it's probably building up for a move higher. But with that resistance above, you wouldn't want to short it. You wouldn't want to long it, right? So there's not enough weakness really to indicate shorts at this point, and there's not enough strength to indicate longs. So below the black line, that's a valid value area high bearish retest. You would go down. But also, if you look over here, it's reclaimed this level. So if you're looking at this as sort of a low time frame bottoming, set a low, swept below it, reclaimed it, held it, and is holding it. And so you'd expect to see it to continue to hold that and then move up. But again, I wouldn't say it's a place for longs. Certainly not. I'll break down on trade of the day what I think the best long approach is. So my, interim bias would still be to the downside until it flips this 65 and convincingly flips that from a resistance to a support. But you don't get your quick move down that you might want to see from before. It's sort of grinding, sideways, sideways, sideways. This is like a head and shoulders distribution type of setup. The target would be down there. But there might be enough support from trend support below. 4-hour bands are still green. Obviously the daily chart is strong. And you have previous known levels of support around that 64k area. If you remember all the way back from the last several weeks, 64 was the big level. It was a previous point of control from the distribution of volume up here. It was the breakdown point, 64, which when we reclaimed was bullish. It was also this breakdown point here. There's an order block there on the 1 hour or on the 1 day. Broke down. So 64 is a big level, and you can see as price pushes down towards 64 how it runs into support, which makes sense. So I think that a little bit patience is required. I want to I'll look at ETH BTC, and then I won't look at alts here because today on altcoin request stream there's going to be some amazing charts. I'm super looking forward to that. That's going to be a big one. Definitely be there. Don't miss the altcoin request stream, because what I want to show now, if you remember the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's been pretty much shit bearish charts. Now, because of the moves you've seen, we're gonna see some that have good impulses that will set up nice reaccumulations or dips to buy later on, or just good setups in general. So I'm excited for this. First time that altcoins have really been appealing since fucking 2-3 months. So ETH BTC continues to be slightly weaker, and really no change. But ETH, I expect to underperform Bitcoin from here, at least until the ETFs have launched, which is going to be the 23rd, which is marked there on a green line, and probably for a few days after it, because the biggest news probably that came out yesterday was that Grayscale are leaving the fees of ETH, so their ETH ETF, they're leaving the fees high, 2.5%, same as their Bitcoin, which is 10x more expensive than their competitors. Everyone else is going low fee. Grayscale, because they already have 10 billion of ETH in their trust, are going for high fees to disincentivize people from leaving. But we saw what happened with the GBTC. People left anyway. They were either just holding it short term for a trade. They just took the haircut. And really, it's like a tax. Grayscale are smart. They're a business. At the end of the day, they know there are billions and billions of dollars in ETH and formerly in GBTC, which is not long-term holders. It's people playing the trade because they bought it at a discount, right? ETH went into a 50% discount. If you bought ETH at the 50% discount, you've made the price appreciation of ETH and the discount difference. So when ETH went as low as $1,000, right? There was also a 50% discount on ETH. So if you bought ETH when ETH was $1,000, it's like buying $500 ETH. Now, obviously, the risk was, What if this never goes back to par, right? What if it doesn't close to zero? You didn't know there was going to be ETFs. This is like 2022 when everything was exploding. But anyone who took that risk has basically bought a $3,400 ETH for $500. Great trade, amazing. And of course, anyone along the way, whenever ETH was 1,500, ETH was still in a discount. You probably bought it for 1,000, right? It's still a 30% discount. Anyway, I think Grayscale, and they did this with Bitcoin as well, I think they know that. And probably their logic is, one, if you are just trying to play that short term, or even, medium term, you're not an ETH maxi, you're just playing the trade. This is just a 2.5% haircut. This is an extra little tax on you. But don't worry, you bought ETH for $500. You bought ETH for $1,000 when it should have been more. So give us our 2.5% and fuck off. Regardless of the reasons why, that is going to lead to probably significant selling on launch, because there's just going to be billions of dollars that will want to exit ETH and move to another, to BlackRock, or just to cash in entirely. So that opens up the window for ETH weakness on launch, and Bitcoin doesn't have that same overhang at this point. So we'll see how that goes. That would be my rough expectation. And overall, that's it. Last thing, the ETFs for Bitcoin, which have been holding up, or not holding up, the ETFs for Bitcoin, which have been better. We're looking at far side. 50 million. So we've seen a decrease in the ETF flows. We saw outflows from GBTC. We saw outflows out of Bitwise, and just a lower day. But it's coming off the back of almost 2 billion in 2 weeks, so nothing crazy, but definitely something to keep an eye on. That's it. GM. See you all later. Altcoin request stream. Be there. GM.